here's another small hurdle. I can only imagine what the Republicans might eventually come up with a reason to stop us from changing this law. But here you go. A Sunday story in the Washington Post describes a disturbing encounter between a young woman and a family service offices in Alabama. The young woman told rape crisis advocate Portia Shepard she'd been assaulted by her step-uncle when she was 15, had since brought their child to term. Now, once again, yes, raped by her uncle. She carried the baby to term, and she's got the kid. Now her step-uncle is poised to get out of jail after a drug conviction, and he wants to be part of the family. In Alabama, that is totally possible. Alleged rapists can get visitation rights or even custody of their children conceived by their actions, a situation Shepard called the craziest thing I've ever heard in my life. Alabama is only one of 2 states without a law terminating parental rights in the cases of rape. The other state, you guessed it, Minnesota. What? Our statutes include a long list of reasons a person's parental status might be revoked, from abandonment to egregious harm inflicted upon the child. But, okay, wait a minute. How does egregious harm inflicted on the child not include rape? I don't know. But said child being the result of a sexual assault is not one of them. A situation like the one described in the Post could just as easily happen here. Here it's even possible for someone with a conviction for sexual assault to get the parental rights, says gender justice attorney Christy Hall. Attempts have been made to change this. Back in 2016, Representative John Purcell, fan of the show, fan of his, the Democrat out of Bemidji, introduced a bill that would have done the least we could do: terminate rights in situations where there's clear and convincing evidence that the child was conceived as a result of a criminal sexual conduct. That's similar to language used to determine to say cases of child molestation or neglect, and half states in the country have something like that on the books. Unfortunately for Purcell, it didn't go anywhere. Let's go back in time. Back in 2016, who was in charge of the House at that point? That would be Kurt Doubt and the Republicans, who were presented with a bill by Purcell that said, hey, if that guy rapes a girl, he shouldn't be able to say, I'm daddy now. And apparently, the Republicans decided that wasn't important. She's not aware of any further action on the subject. It's hard for her to say why Minnesota wouldn't go for a law that seems like a no-brainer. Apparently, Hall's guess is that there's a lack of care about the issue in general, but there are some, like Ned Holstein, board chair for the National Parents Organization, who sees laws like these as an open invitation to fraud. I want to step back for a quick sec and just repeat that. Because Ned Holstein seems to be implying that laws on the books that prevent a rapist from forcing their victim to share parental rights for the child that was conceived due to said rape from having custodial rights, that laws like that are an open invitation to fraud. Okay, on the scale of crimes, rape, fraud. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a person that goes out there and says that, crime should not be prosecuted. By all means, if someone commits fraud, they should. But I think we all can agree the rape of the child is the bigger problem here, correct? Let's hear from Ned. Taking a person's child away is a grievous act, he told the Post. And if it's done to an innocent parent, you are also denying the child a fit parent forever and putting her into the sole custody of a ruthless parent who's willing to fabricate a heinous accusation. Wow. So his argument is we shouldn't stop any rapists from getting custodial rights to the children they conceived by raping a person, including an underage child, because there's a chance, there's just a chance that the child could have lied, and henceforth, even though we probably know of cases where we have irrefutable proof that the man raped the child, that person should be still given custody because there's a chance that someone might lie about this. City Page has obviously figured out where I was going to go with this before I did. It's hard to get robust data on situations like these, but by most measures, including those used by the Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network, or RAIN, sexual assault is vastly underreported, not the other way around. So basically the argument that there's overreporting of sexual assault is an actual fabrication. It's actually been proven it's vastly underreported. Meanwhile, the National Conference of State Legislatures estimates that between 17,000 and 32,000 rape-related pregnancies occur in the United States each year alone. So we do know how many rape-related pregnancies there are. And we have this one guy saying, though, we can't put laws into place because there might be a fibbing kid. At some point, there might be this is, it just, if this isn't the conservative mentality of America today, we're going to get rid of all food aid for the hungry because there might be one family that's trying to cheat the system. And so I'd rather starve all the hungry people than let one person get food for free. Ha! In your face. That's the mentality of the modern conservative. Hall went on to say, I think people in Minnesota don't realize the restrictions on reproductive parental rights we already have, she says. As recently as the last session, Minnesota legislators had advocated for tighter restrictions on access to abortion in our state. The way she sees it, we are one potential governor away from being where Alabama is now, and many of us don't even know it. And what she's referring to is outlawing all forms of abortion, including in the cases of rape or incest, which, for this in case that they brought up earlier from Alabama, seems to be a both category. And as well, that they basically, so that not only do you have to take that that child conceived via rape to term, but then you have to give parental rights. What happens if you then decide you're going to give that baby up for adoption? Do you have to go get your rapist's signature on that form? And we're not talking about Alabama. We're talking about Minnesota. So are you saying that within a few months of a child getting raped, say, 13-year-old girl gets raped by a family friend. We won't do incest, we'll just do a rape. That child gets pregnant off said rape and decides to take the child to term in Minnesota. Do they have to get the rapist to sign off on the adoption forms in Minnesota? Or can they get past that? That is actually a legit question because, my God, talk about tormenting the victim here even further. Hey, remember when you raped me 6 months ago? Hey, can you sign this off so that the child I'm carrying that is yours, it was due to the rape, I can give up for adoption because I've been scarred for life, and the thought of me having to raise this child is too disturbing. Can you? No, I have to now be the parent of this child. Now I can't give it up for adoption. Oh, well, gee willikers, and you're in jail, so I guess, well, I have to raise the child now. Wow. Republicans, let's get us back to the least we can do. The least you could do is outlaw gay conversion therapy, which has been proven to just be torturing kids. It has. And yeah, why don't we just get rid of that? You can't scream gayness out of a child. As much as you want to think you cannot scream the gay out of a child. You just can't. And so torturing gay kids is wrong. Let's get rid of that. Hey, that diabetic who's poor, who doesn't have health insurance, doesn't have any money, who's going to die tonight. How about, you get a stockpile of insulin that the state can have that we can administer as needed to prevent poor people from dying for a lack of insulin? How about we do the bare minimum? The bare bare minimum. And how about we also do the bare minimum in regards to victims of rape or incest, that if they decide to take that child to birth, the child that was conceived via the rape, that the rapist doesn't have any say in that person's life whatsoever. How about that? It's the least we could do. God, when did everything for the Republicans become, well, if you want to stop victims of rape from having to give parental custody to the rapist, well, then you have to concede a little bit on the budget bill. When did everything for the Republicans become a negotiation point? When did every bit of decency and morality that you guys used to have, when did that all dry up? Dear Lord. Representative Purcell, I highly encourage you to get this bill reintroduced. For God's sakes, the last thing I want to be known as is the Alabama of the North.